Hey guys, thanks for checking out Quick Sessions Podcast. My name is Garrett Terrio, coming to you from Houston, Texas, in the home studio because gyms are closed. It's Corona time, and the gym studio is not easy to get to right now. So today, we're not going to be talking about Corona though, because everybody else is. Today, I was reading this article on ACL injuries, and I came across this study they did a few years back at the Samford University in Birmingham, Alabama. And not performed by James Andrews, which would be the first thing I think about when I think Alabama, but a guy named Dr. Kevin Wilk. He's the head of this Champion Sports company that deals with rehab, exercise, all that stuff. And essentially what the study talks about is, number one, that ACL injuries are more prevalent in women's sports. Reason why? Who knows? It could be just because of the difference between male-female athletes. I'm not sure. And they don't really go into why women are having more ACL problems than men. But essentially what they did is in 2016, they had 8 non-contact ACL injuries. I think it was the 3 years leading up to it, something like that. So what they did in the beginning of 2017 is they did two things. Number one, they had them work out with this state-of-the-art wearable technology, right? It tracks all their movements, what deficiencies they may have, misalignments, what have you. And that can be looked at by trainers, physical therapists, the doctors, whoever. And then after gathering that information, they put them in what they have as the ACL Play It Safe program. That's what this place, Champion Sports or whatever it calls it. And basically they have 3 levels, 1, 2, or 3. Obviously, as you go up, 1 is you need less work, you have less imbalances, and 3, you have more of them. I'm assuming that's how it works. Like I said, I can't really get my hands on it, but I'm assuming, that's how everything else works, right? And also what they did is they figured out, injury rates, time lost to the injury, time on the field, all that kind of stuff. So what they did is they got all that information, they put everybody through the program. And what they found was 100% reduction in non-contact ACL injuries. Now, if someone falls on your knee, there's nothing you can do about it. No amount of training that you've ever done can withstand a body to your knee. It's not going to work. But the non-contact is the lost opportunity, I guess you could say. It also showed a 50% reduction in just overall non-contact lower body injuries. So we're talking ankle sprains, hamstring pulls, hip pointers, hyperextensions, you name it. Just whatever comes to the top of my head right now. And all that resulted in 60% less time lost between games and practice, which really is a ton. We know, you tear your ACL, you're out for the whole year, but a 60% increase is huge. So that's all great, right? But how does that apply to us? How can we go about preventing non-contact ACL injuries? And now, most people, if they're done with high school, collegiate, professional sports, there's not a ton of times where you're going to tear your ACL, right? There's some hobbies like pick up basketball. It's possible if you still play flag football, even beer league softball, things like that. It's possible. Dirt bike riding, you can tear your ACL doing that. So there are other types of physical activities that can do it. While minimal, everybody pretty much has one, right? There's something you're doing that could put your ACL at risk. And I'm not saying dedicate a whole, program to ACL prevention, but there are some things you can do as a part of your workout to help strengthen your legs to help prevent ACL injuries. So an example of some of the beginner exercises are things, squats, single leg squats, drop, vertical jump. That's when you stand on top of the box. You step off and then you descend into a lower squat hold in one motion. It's great for stretching your hamstrings and for helping with knee stability. Vertical jumps, side to side jumps, backwards jumps, deadlifts, bridges, things like that. That's kind of the basic things you can do. Now, anyone who's been through sports and has done a regiment built for that sport has probably done all those things. It's not a given, but most of you have done all that kind of stuff. So the bigger part is the advanced stuff, and I'll spend more time on it. But some examples are like single leg weighted squats. Now, I'm not saying put a squat bar on your back and do a single leg squat, but example, one that I do a lot at the gym is you grab a kettlebell. I'm not a big kettlebell person, so I hardly ever break it out, but grab a kettlebell and hold it on your shoulder, right? Where it's on the back side of your forearm. Your palm is right by your chest, and you grab a TRX with the other arm. So this allows you to do a single leg squat with whatever you're holding kettlebell wise. If you're using a 70 pounder, there you go. And it gives you a ton of range of motion. It's tough. You are definitely at a disadvantage doing that type of squat, but just, every gym seems to have a TRX now. It's pretty easy to execute. Single leg step up and hold, pretty basic, add weight to it. Single leg bridges, things like that. If you can control it with one leg, you can do that. There's not a lot of weight to really add to it, but a single leg bridge should be enough for anybody anyway, regardless of how strong you get. Obviously, things like single leg jumps on a box, side to side, things like that. But what a lot of people don't do are squat jumps. And I think because it sounds like a pretty intimidating exercise, but it doesn't mean actually leave the ground, right? I mean, great if you can, but just coming up on your toes from the squat, help your body engage and explode through a deep angle, get a full range of motion, and work on catching yourself after the squat. Training your legs to handle impact is something that your average 30-year-old guy just doesn't do. You don't train for impact very often. So things like squat jumps, the jammer, it's a specific machine, not in a ton of gyms, but we have it. Things like jumping off the box, these are impact training exercises. And I think those ultimately end up being the best things for your lower body joints, everything, hamstrings, all that good stuff. So moral of the story with this podcast, it's an interesting study. Go read. You can't, what journal is it in? I don't think it's made it to the Strength and Conditioning Journal, but it's the Samford Women's ACL study done by Champion Sports. It covers everything I just told you about, but it does highlight, how ridiculous it is to have non-contact injuries happen to you, especially if they're preventable. And we didn't know they were always preventable, but now with these types of studies, with the numbers that back them up, and it is just one study, so I'm not saying this is the end-all, be-all, but it's definitely something to open your eyes to and incorporate into at least your leg workouts. I'm not saying do it every day, but if you do any kind of extracurricular activity, any kind of hobby where you have to move quickly or adjust your lower body quickly and brace for impact, these are something that should be a must, because nothing would be worse as an adult having to miss work because you tore your ACL, Anyway, thanks for checking out Quick Sessions Podcast, guys. Be sure to rate and review. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Not a ton of episodes lately because of Mr. Corona, but I'll try to pump out a few more this week and try to get somewhat back to normal. Thanks for listening, guys. Catch you next time.